Hey, what's up guys? I wanted to come at y'all today with another push session. So in these push sessions, I started off this off season having my overhead pressing movements first, and it was good. I can really, whatever you're trying to improve on, I think you should train that first, and that's where you can put the most strength into, and that way you're not pre-fatiguing that muscle and then trying to hit it in a lift later on in the workout. But putting my overhead pressing first has kind of taken a little bit of toll on the shoulder joint, and I had to move it back in the order, just due to the fact that it's just wearing out my shoulders a little bit irritated from doing it. So kind of had to rethink things, and also take in consideration that my shoulders just can handle quite a bit more volume than say my chest does. So I've kept chest volume constant. I'll still do around like 7 work sets for chest on a push day, but for shoulders, that's what I've increased. So my big thing is what I'm starting with now is a side delt movement, and side delts is really what I want to bring out more in all my front shots, just giving that wider look, capped out look. So I started today with doing a lying cable upright row, and I'm really a huge fan of these. My other push day, I'll start with a cable lateral raise, and I do this in this workout as well, but I move it a little bit further back. When I'm implementing it as my first exercise, I conduct it a little differently. So my first movement, I'll do these lying cable upright rows. I like them because you're in this really fixed position laying down. You can really retract and squeeze the scapulas down, and really get the body in a fixed position to really pull with the delts and not using the lower back or traps to get the movement started. So I'll do 2 sets, and I'll work up and do a rest pause set on the first one. So trying to hit failure around 12 to 15 reps, rest 20 seconds, go to failure again, rest 20 seconds, go to failure again. And so that'll be one complete rest pause set. And then I'll lower the weight about 30%, and then do the same thing again, rest pause set. Failure, rest 20 seconds, failure, rest 20 seconds. With delts, they can handle this volume, so I was just doing straight sets. But my next thing with regards to periodization and trying to increase the demand on the muscle, I've added in these rest pause sets on my lateral raises, and my upright rows is my first exercise. And so that really gets the delt fatigued, and then I can go on to all my other moves. I was doing some overhead pressing after this upright row, but again, for shoulder safety, I just moved it back, and I don't see much limitation there. I still get really good shoulder work, but I'm having to use less weight for my 4th exercise, which is the overhead press. So I move on. I go to on this push day, a flat hammer strength press, and my other day I start with an incline move. So I have more incline upper chest work, and on this chest day I have more just mid, lower pec compound moves. So it's hammer strength press, and I will work up to a set of 8 to 10, back off and wait about 30%, and go to failure again. So just trying to work in different rep ranges, gain strength in both, and also cause some metabolic stress. Moving on from there, I'm going to a decline hammer strength press. So just kind of moving down the pec. The decline hammer strength press, I'm usually not a fan of decline moves, because I do feel like it starts using a lot of tricep and shoulder, and usually your flat presses you get a lot of lower pec involvement anyway. But this one hammer strength press, the contractions is great on it, so it feels good. So I've kept them in, and same protocol that I use on the flat hammer strength press, just going to a set of failure around 8 to 10 reps, backing off and wait 30%, and then going into failure, trying to hit something pretty high in reps. Then my last compound move will be a Smith machine military press. And I like the Smith machine opposed to doing just a free barbell press, because I can set the bar and keep it really out in front of me. So you see, it's almost, you could almost consider it as like a very steep incline press. And I think for shoulder, like from shoulder health perspective, it's much better than doing just an overhead barbell press where you're going to be pressing that bar back towards you. And even if you look at like incline bench pressing and EMG activity, even on a 45-degree incline press, like you have a ton of front delt involvement. And I think weighing out the shoulder health risk versus what you gain from just doing a true overhead military press, it's just not there. And I think keeping the bar out in front of you a little bit more will keep your joint health intact for a lot longer, and you still won't have any issues. But I also like this machine because I'm not having to balance a bar, and I can really focus and put a lot of tension within the front delt. And a key that I have found with these is really controlling the eccentric all the way down and nearly pausing it at the bottom and then pressing up. You can really get some good stretch reflex with these military presses with that little bounce that you see a lot of people do out of the bottom. But you're using stretch reflex and you're relying on the connective tissue to transfer some of that into movement. And you don't want that. You want to be pressing with actual the tissue. And I feel better tension contraction with a more controlled movement on these overhead presses. So I'm just working up to a set of 8 to 10 and then back off and weight again. Pretty simple protocol. I've done it for a while. I'll keep doing these straight sets like this until I actually decide to really push the off season harder. And once I feel like I've maxed out my straight set, then I'll start adding in either more volume through sets or drop sets or rest pause sets or something like that. But for right now, I'm still doing well on my straight sets, and recovery is where it needs to be for it. So after the overhead presses, I move on to doing some isolation work for side delts and for chest. And I talked about these earlier in the video. I was talking about doing this. My first exercise on the other push day is a lying lateral raise, cable lateral raise using ankle straps. And on the bench, scapulars are fixed, you can't swing, there's no momentum there. And then using the ankle straps, you take your hands out of it, which doesn't seem significant, but it allows you to not have to focus on hand position and gripping this dumbbell, and you can really focus on just putting tension within the side delt. And what I have in mind when I'm doing this is not trying to elevate the shoulders and use the traps. And when I bring my hands up to the very top, rather than just thinking of just moving my hands up, I'm moving them up, and trying to like stretch out. And by trying to reach out far with my hands, I feel like I can take more trap out of it, because when you're reaching out, you're not shrugging up. When you shrug up, your hands pull in. So reaching outward and performing abduction with your arms, it makes it more, I like it more stricter for the side delt. And I keep the reps higher in this, so I'm trying to hit like 20 to 30 reps, but still straight sets, and I'll do 3 sets total. Then moving on from there, I moved on to a incline bench cable chest fly using prime handles, which are pretty ergonomic, offer pretty good stability, really good feel to them. And I've hit, with my other compounds, some, kind of mid-lower pec movements, so I keep an isolation in for the upper pec today. And try to aim around 15 reps in the first set, and then just do 2 more sets with the just going to failure. So the reps drop down. So I hit like 15, then it dropped down to 12, then I think I did 8 or so on my last one. So after I've done isolation work on delts and chest, moving on to triceps, which, the more the emphasis here in this workout is still shoulder. So if you want to count up like work sets, I have is that 8 8 work sets for shoulders and 7 for chest, but you know, 2 of those work sets for shoulders are rest pause, so there's really 3 sets within 1 set. So you kind of have to count that for it. So it is a shoulder, definitely shoulder emphasis in regards to volume. For triceps are my stronger point. So I just have volume back down on them. I only do 6 sets, work sets for triceps, and it's in a superset fashion at the very end. So if triceps is something you want to bring up, I would definitely move them up in the exercise order, and also the execution as well. So I think one of your compound moves in the beginning should have a tricep emphasis, like a close grip bench press or a reverse grip bench press, and something that you're really adamant about progressing the logbook. So for me, this is more, my tricep work is more about metabolic stress and pump, using higher rep, because they did get a strong stimulus for, you know, heavy weight and lower rep range doing my chest movements and shoulder movements. So just trying to hit 15 plus reps on my tricep work. And I'll start with just a push down using the easy bar. Try to fail around that 15 rep mark, and I'll superset with body weight dips, and just trying to get as many body weight dips as possible. I like doing the push downs first because I will pre-fatigue the triceps for using the dips, and everything is already so fatigued that I end up just not being able to get too many dips. And I'll do 3 rounds of that, so 3 supersets total, adding up for 6 total work sets. And you know, I think the big thing here, especially these push downs, is control the eccentric phase. On all these moves, you're going to see me really controlling the eccentric phase and pressing as fast as possible while keeping my form. So if I could throw a weight up really fast, but I might lose stability doing it, and you lose stability, you're going to lose tension on the intended muscle. So move the weights as fast as you can through the concentric phase, as long as you're able to keep in that fixed, stable position. But that wrapped up my push day. And so, like I said, about 8-10 work sets, depending how you want to count that, on shoulders, and then 7 on chest and 6 on triceps. So, you know, adjust volume for your recovery capabilities. Currently training 2 days on, 1 day off, so I'll have a few days to recover before I'll do a very similar workout again. So, you know, adjust that for how you can recover, then also adjust it for what you want to work on and focus. So if you want more chest, add more work sets for chest and back off on something else that is a stronger body part. But guys, that's it for my push day. If you have any comments, questions, leave them in the description below, and I'd be happy to answer those for you. And until next time.